This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. I'm here in sunny Texas and I'm joined by Dan Rafael. Dan, firstly, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. A little tired from last week's Tyson Furys Deontay Wilder festivities, but happy to be in Frisco, Texas for a great show.
I can imagine last week was a draining one, but obviously, as you mentioned, we're here in Frisco, Texas, ahead of what is a great show, one which has possibly slipped under the radar a bit simply because of last week's fight.
I mean, among the real true boxing fans, and certainly the media, it has not slipped under the radar. There's a lot of press here I saw many of them at the news conference yesterday, and I got in yesterday, and we were sort of joking around, not the news conference for this fight, but the news conference for the Regis Prograis Maurice Hooker fight, and we were all joking around about it's like the circus is on the move. The circus was in Vegas last week for Fury against Wilder, and now we're here in Texas for Mikey Garcia and Jessie Vargas. So it's a good show. By all accounts from the promoters, but more importantly, ticket people that I know, that these tickets are moving very well for this show. Expect a good crowd, and it's a great show.
Let's get into this card. Start off with that headline fight, Mikey Garcia versus Jessie Vargas. Some people still questioning, can Mikey operate at 147? Jessie himself, obviously a world level operator, very big at 147, had his eyes on moving up to 154. What are your thoughts on their fight?
Well, it's like you said, Mikey has answers questions that he needs to answer about his ability to be viable in this weight division. He understands and is the first to admit that his performance in his only other welterweight fight, in his last fight against Errol Spence, also here in Texas, not that far from here in the big stadium in Arlington where the Dallas Cowboys play, he termed it a horrible performance. I mean, he lost every single round. Obviously, Errol Spence is either the best or second best in the weight division, according to most people, him and Terrence Crawford. Certainly Manny Pacquiao's in that weight class, and there's got a lot of good guys, but Mikey's got to prove that he can take on a really good quality, solid fighter like Jessie Vargas, who may not be the number 1, 2, or 3 guy in the welterweight division, but he's a bona fide welterweight. He's had some success here. He's been involved in some big fights, and this is the fight where Mikey can answer those questions. He's confident. We're going to see. Jessie is bigger. Jessie is more experienced in the weight class. I believe Mikey, even at this weight class, is probably a little bit of a better puncher, but who knows? I think it's a very competitive fight.
I mean, with Mikey, win or lose, do you think we will see him move back down to 140 in the near future?
His answer to me when I asked him that question, the interview I had with him a couple days ago, was obviously he needs to see how he performs against Vargas, but that he would absolutely be willing to go to 140 if there was a fight there that interested him that was worth it financially. That he can envision himself fighting, in the 140 weight division or staying at the 147 weight division. Obviously, it seems as though his days at 135 are long over.
Now, obviously, you mentioned Purewal Hooker's press conference yesterday. So again, it's a brilliant fight. What are your thoughts on that about?
I think that, I know it's not a 140 pound fight. They're doing it slightly over the weight at 143, which is fine because it's not a world title fight. It's not an eliminator. In my mind, though, they're both guys that they can still make 140, and if they choose to do so. So to me, it's sort of like it's the people's eliminator. The guy who wins that fight will have a good win under their belt. They'll have come off, exciting unification fights where they may not have won. Obviously, Hooker had the one real quick comeback fight in a first-round knockout that was a couple months ago. But really, the winner of that fight is, in my mind, is the de facto mandatory for any of the belts, whether it's against Ramirez or it's against Josh Taylor or the winner of Josh Taylor if he fights Ramirez. But the winner of the fight will put himself in a great position, and it's refreshing to see two guys who are among the best in their division be willing to fight each other and not have to fight for a belt. Just put on a great fight. They're being well compensated, and hopefully give the fans a great show.
I mean, Regis said that originally he went out to the first Vargas Garcia press conference and he wanted to face the winner of that. Would you be interested to see Regis face the winner of Jessie Vargas versus Mikey Garcia?
I'd be interested in seeing whoever wins between Regis and Hooker against the winner of that fight. Absolutely. I don't know if that fight necessarily happens, but it's certainly on the table. I mean, you think about what Eddie Hearn and DAZN are doing in these couple of fights. You have a tremendous matchup with Vargas and Mikey. They're fighting a welterweight fight for no world title. And then you have Hooker and Prograis fighting just a couple pounds lighter for no world title, but they're four of the best guys in those weight classes, and they're willing to fight each other without the benefit of the world title because they're going to be in front of good crowds and they're going to be making a lot of money.
Obviously as well, I just wanted to get your thoughts on the rest of the card, work our way through. Caio fight versus Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez. People still questioning what has Chocolatito got left, and Caio fight, it's his first big fight as a world champion in what will be his 6th world title defence, I believe. What are your thoughts on that fight?
Well, it's a great opportunity for both guys. Yafai has been a very good boxer, but not really that well known, at least on this side of the pond. It's a chance for him to take on a very well-known opponent, a future Hall of Famer, and show what he's all about to an audience that may not have seen him before. And for Roman Gonzalez, it's a great opportunity because he thinks he's still got a lot left. He's coming off he fought the fight in December, but before that was just a tune-up fight. He had been out 15 months because of a pretty serious knee injury that needed surgery, and before that he had a couple of losses, one controversial, and then no controversy on the knockout. So he wants to show that even at 32 years old, he can still be a force to be reckoned with in this weight class and regain a world title. And, like I said, he's a future Hall of Famer. He's one of the greatest small fighters in the history of boxing. You can, argue at the worst he's the second best fighter ever from Nicaragua, only behind Arguello, who was his mentor and his original trainer who really discovered him. There's a lot on the line. I mean, this is Roman Gonzalez. Basically his career is at stake. If he doesn't perform well, most people will say, okay, he had a great run. He's going to the Hall of Fame, but he's done at this point. Yafai can score easily the biggest win of his career, not even close. So I think that's a really interesting fight. I'm actually as excited for that fight as I am for the main event.
And then obviously another world title fight in Julio Cesar Martinez versus Jay Harris. Again, what are your thoughts on that one, Dan?
Martinez has been a revelation. He was not really that well known until he sort of burst on the scene. He had that win that it was changed to a no contest against Charlie Edwards. He totally dominated Edwards, knocked him out. Obviously the knockout punch was maybe slightly when he was down. I didn't think he did it on purpose, but they ended up making it into a no contest, and they ordered a rematch. And Charlie Edwards made the decision, I don't need to do that again. He decided to move up in weight, so now Martinez got the opportunity to fight for the vacant belt, which he won in very exciting fashion against Rosales a couple months ago. And now he's in his first defense. Jay Harris, it's an opportunity of a lifetime. European champion, undefeated, not a big puncher. You got to favor Martinez because of the explosiveness, but I've seen Jay Harris. He's a good, capable boxer. Maybe you can give him a few problems, but you got to like Martinez in that matchup. But good for them making it's for a first defense. It's not exactly like a total pushover. Harris is a legit guy, just not a big puncher.
And just to move away from this one and onto the small matter of the past weekend, the Wilder Fury 2 rematch. A brilliant fight, brilliant performance from Tyson Furys, stunning victory. What was your thoughts on their bout?
Well, it didn't totally shock me that Tyson Fury was the winner of the fight. I don't think anybody that looked at that matchup, whoever they were picking, would be totally shocked that Fury was the winner. What was shocking was that how he did it. And not even that he got a win by a knockout wasn't totally shocking. It's that he dominated every single round, scored 2 knockdowns, and won going away and was ahead on all the scorecards by a landslide. I think one judge had given Deontay Wilder 1 round, and Fury had won all the rest of the rounds on the scorecards. He did get deducted 1 point by the referee, Tenny Bayless. But no, you can't say enough positive things about Tyson Fury. It was a really outstanding, historical level kind of performance. I mean, he deserved the win. All due respect to the belts that Anthony Joshua has, Tyson Fury is the heavyweight champ of the world, period, bar none.
Obviously after the fight, Tyson came out and he said that, sorry, not Tyson, Deontay came out and said, firstly, he didn't agree with his corner throwing in the towel, and secondly, he brought up his costume weighing over 40 pounds on his ring walk. What was your thoughts on both of those comments?
Well, I did speak to Deontay in an interview on the telephone on Monday after the fight and wrote about that at length. And look, if he believes that the costume was a problem, okay, but anybody on the outside, again, I'm not trying to knock Deontay or, kick the man while he's down, but it does sound a little bit like excuse making. But I know after all these years of interviewing and fighters and covering their fights that anytime a guy loses, particularly in a big spot like that, most of the time they look for a reason. Why did I lose? And if he believes that the costume impeded his ability to compete at the top level, so be it. But again, he's the one that put it on. So as far as him being upset with his corner for throwing in the towel, Mark Breland is a former world champion, 2 weight classes, or 2-time world champion, a former gold medal winner in the Olympic Games. He's the only one in that corner that's been in the ring as a prize fighter. Mark Breland suffered some, terrible knockout in his career. He never maybe reached the potential that people thought he had. He understands what it's like where you can be damaged in the ring. Mark, is a great guy, and to this day, he's still a little damaged from his boxing career. He loves Deontay Wilder. He had his best interest at heart. He did the right thing. And Deontay can rail against that all he wants. But at the end of the day, Mark Breland rather his man be alive and not injured than dead. I mean, or severely injured. And it's a difficult choice, but he did what he had to do. And if Deontay Wilder fires him because of that, I think Mark Breland will still sleep well at night, knowing that he did what he was supposed to do, protect his man. That is the corner's most important responsibility. Protect the fighter, period. And he did that.
One thing I did want to ask you about as well is just kind of come out of this last day or so, some conspiracy theories suggesting Tyson's glove was flapping when he was throwing his punches towards Deontay Wilder. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but what are your thoughts on it?
Boxing and conspiracy theories? No, never. Really? Look, I saw the video. I mean, it looked a little weird, but even if it was legit, I don't see how that would necessarily help Tyson Fury, because if the glove is flopping around, you're not being able to get the full leverage on your punch. So, and again, I don't know if it was like that the whole fight or it slipped out at one point briefly, So, you know, I will put my faith in the Nevada State Athletic Commission, who examines the gloves, who looks at them, who makes sure they're wrapped properly in the dressing room. You know, funny things happen on video. Things can be done and changed, and you know, so I'm not convinced there's anything to that.
Final question, Dan, before I do let you go and enjoy the rest of your day. Obviously, Tyson seems set to face Deontay because Deontay's exercised that third fight, their rematch clause. But there's obviously the talk still about a potential Fury-Joshua undisputed fight. With all the fights you've covered in your history of boxing, how big would an undisputed fight between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua be?
It's a huge fight. I mean, it would certainly be, you know, on par with some of the biggest fights I have ever covered. Maybe not necessarily in America. You know, had Deontay won the fight and they tried to make the undisputed fight, obviously it would be much bigger. But it's a very, very big fight. Maybe not as big as it would have been had Joshua stayed undefeated and not lost the fight against Andi Ruiz, but he did win the rematch. So don't get me wrong, it's a huge, 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 massive fight. And I hope it happens. I don't think it happens this year. I do think they'll do the rematch. You know, I wrote a story today where, you know, Eddie talked about how close they are in getting everything signed for the Joshua versus Pulev fight. That's going to be Anthony Joshua's next fight. And after that, I guess we'll see what happens. But, you know, hopefully where there's a will, there's a way. If Anthony Joshua wants to fight, if Tyson Fury wants to fight, you know, both Eddie and also Bob Arum from Top Rank, who's the co-promoter for Fury, have said that they can definitely make a deal with each other to work it out. And hopefully it will happen for the sake of the sport.
Well, Dan, I will leave you to enjoy the rest of your day. Like I say, I appreciate you giving up your time and speaking to me. I'll speak to you soon. Thank you for speaking to Boxing Social.
My pleasure. Always enjoyed being on with you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan.